This week, we are here in the Twin Island state of Antigua and Barbuda, the backdrop of the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States, SIDS4. This summit, as you know, happens once every decade. The theme of the conference this year is charting the course towards resilient prosperity. It is hoped that this gathering of decision makers and civil society will lead to an equitable and just transition away from fossil fuel into more renewable energy. Why are we here at SIDS4? Because the science speaks for itself. Investing in fossil fuel is a path that will undermine every element of sustainable development. It's time to steer towards a future that doesn't just allow our communities to survive, but they need to thrive.
Out of the 39 countries forming SIDS, 12 of them have already endorsed a call for a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty, the latest being the Republic of the Marshall Islands right here at the opening plenary of SIDS4. This growing coalition of leading nations is now, along with Colombia, spearheading a global effort to secure a negotiating mandate for a treaty. For the first time, this group of 13 endorsing countries gathered at a ministerial meeting here in the Caribbean. Ministers and senior officials got together to discuss ways to bring more countries on board, focusing on the three key pillars of the treaty initiative. 1. Non-proliferation. 2. Equitable phase-out. And 3. Support for global just transition. Together, they brainstormed on how to ensure equity is at the heart of this treaty's development. And the result? A powerful outcome statement that paves the way for a more sustainable and just future for all. The future of our small islands depends on a just transition away from oil, gas, and coal. But how can their states finance a just transition that leaves no worker or community behind? At the SIDS4 conference, we asked a panel of experts to discuss this.
To address these financial constraints, we must explore innovative solutions. We must consider different legal pathways for negotiating a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Whether through the UN framework or a standalone process, the treaty must aim to achieve ambitious commitments.
As SIDS, we've long called for the multilateral system to operate from a place of equity, and we believe that this treaty is a way to do that on the international scale when it comes to the urgent need to phase out fossil fuels.
We then met at a reception event for government officials where we celebrated the dedication of ministers who support the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty. To honor their commitment, we proudly presented leaders with prints of original paintings by Antiguan artist Emile Gil. These artworks depict the power of nations coming together, underlining the importance of global cooperation in fighting the climate crisis. The treaty reception at SIDS4 served as a powerful reminder of the global solidarity and shared commitment to a sustainable future for all nations, especially those on the front lines of the climate crisis. Last but not least, we held a press conference on the final day with a powerful panel of experts from governments and civil society who reinforced the call for countries to reinforce and negotiate a fossil fuel treaty that will lean into island nations' climate leadership to implement the energy just transition the world needs. We also announced the launch of a report consolidating civil society perspectives on the values and ideals that should guide a successful treaty. The set of principles was collected through an extensive and diverse consultation process. We spoke to hundreds of leaders from every continent on the planet to help design the values and ideals that should inform governments when negotiating a fossil fuel treaty.
We need a successful treaty which requires high-emission countries to take the lead in phasing out fossil fuels and providing resources to support a just transition for all, and especially for small island states, because we're going to be right at the front lines. It's really about justice and equity and securing a sustainable future for everyone. Let this not just be a treaty, but the treatment in a treatment plan for an ailing planet. But we have to be really careful not to replace one extractive mode with another.
The Fossil Fuel Treaty is a big and bold proposal that will lead us to protect what we love. By saying no to new fossil fuels and by demanding rich nations to move first towards fair and equitable energy transition. We will address the root cause of the climate crisis and guarantee that we remain at 1.5 to stay alive.
Want to know more on what's coming up next for the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative?
Follow us for more.